And we're live. It's starting recording. The actual recording is a higher quality. Okay, that's good. That's great. All right, Jack. Thanks for having you on the Jim Cruz podcast, where we discuss ways to grow your social media and increase your revenue. I'm really happy to have you as a guest today. You are managing AI Informer, which is awesome. Like, there's a lot to tell. Last couple of months, last year about what AI does and the upcoming services of AI. Like, it's really changing the world and transforming the way we think and approach things. AI can do so many things nowadays. So I would like to introduce you to our listeners, wherever you are. This is Jack.
Hey
You
guys.
you started AI Informer. You have been working in SEO. You've been working in the field, trying to raise online visibility for businesses, making them rank higher. So you have a lot of experience in copywriting and also, like, in a side way, storytelling, which we're going to discuss later, which will be super interesting. So a few months now, right, Jack? You started AI Informer. I got
That's
to
right.
join your AI group where you share daily updates on how you can use AI to transform your business. To initially use it for copywriting, but now I have the feeling it grew into so much more. You are offering boot camps. You are offering a roadmap on how businesses can use AI to transform their business and increase their revenue, attract more clients. And a few days ago, last week, you held a free seminar that people could watch to see how you can create lead generators as a business easily to attract more customers and use leads generators to basically add more value to your business and explain what you do, offering value in order to generate more leads and get people to get to notice your business and get some more information about what you do. Did I miss something there, Jack, or do you have
No,
anything to add?
that's a really good coverage of what we've been up to. Yeah, so AI Informer itself now is probably 2 months old. We soft launched towards the end of November last year, and kind of our full launch was January the 1st.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a whirlwind of a sort of 14 months in the world of AI. I mean, I think ChatGPT is now only 14 months old. And what it's changed in that time is something crazy. So yeah, that is a good summary of where we're at now with the marketing and operations side of AI in the business world. So I just want to say thank you for having me on today, and I'm looking forward to talking to all of your kind of followers about what they can do with AI. Hopefully, they get some good value out of it too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, certainly be interesting because everybody is talking about AI all the time and all its options, but like that's where it stops a little bit. I have the feeling everybody's always talking about it, but it's difficult to see like concrete examples of how you could leverage the power of AI. And for a lot of people, it's still a little bit hocus pocus, magic,
I
and
agree.
it's actually a challenge to really implement it.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people have used it and maybe asked, a couple of little requests and got some kind of high level. Oh, that's cool. That gives me some good inputs. So, sorry, some good outputs. That's really cool. And then
Yeah.
what do I do now? Where do I go from here? And I think that's the position a lot of people are in. And I guess there's a lot of people out there that have tried it, not really seen the value, and then given up on it, right? And gone, do
Yeah.
you know what? This is going to take over. And I can appreciate that. I mean, some of the origins of why AI Informer started come from the fact that I didn't really believe in AI when it first came out. Like I was a doubter.
Yeah.
A year ago November when ChatGPT landed, I was a doubter myself.
Oh, how come? And what turned you around?
Yeah, well, I guess so. My old agency, well, they still exist. Grassroots Content is like an SEO and content writing agency.
Yeah.
And when ChatGPT 3.5 first came out, everyone was saying this is going to change the game. It's going to be so much better at taking over copy. All of these kind of things that oh, the whole world's going to change. No one's going to want content writers anymore. And I guess I approached
Yeah.
it with is that really true? Do I think it's going to make sense? And I put in a few prompts like, write me a blog about this. And the output I got was terrible, right? To be
Yeah.
honest, you get like 800 words of total rubbish, nowhere near the quality of writers. And yeah, I was like, I'm not worried about this. This is no problem. We'll just carry on where we are.
Yeah.
And then I started to see people using it and getting like really, really good results from it. And I was thinking, I must have missed something here, right? There's something in the way that I've been using AI that isn't right. Like
Yeah.
somebody's got a jump on me. So I started digging deeper and trying to figure out from some of the people that were, I guess, the real pioneers in ChatGPT, what they were doing. And I found that the way they were prompting, the way they were structuring, the way they were using kind of the information that's already within the training of ChatGPT was making
Yeah.
a huge difference to the output they were getting. And that, I guess, initially scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Like one of the reasons that I enjoy doing business is because I like to give people opportunities to work and to learn. And most of my writers were people that came to writing and not done it before. So
Yeah.
my focus was very much on creating an excellent training program that would give people, mostly South Africans and Kenyans, an opportunity to work in the digital space, and also
Yeah.
obviously nomads. And it scared the hell out of me. I was like, well, this is pretty soon going to be able to do what a lot of my writers can do. And then carried on playing with it, and I guess started to see that there's an opportunity to be at the forefront of AI, and that's kind of where AI Informer came from. I never intended to start a business that was focused just on marketing and AI, but I learned
Yeah.
so much in the process of trying to protect my existing agency that I thought, you know what, this is valuable. We should be sharing this with people and kind of making sure people don't get left behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's the only way to move forward, right? Like jump on the boat, like, and start using it, leveraging it, because if you don't do it, like, you'll be probably left behind. It's AI opened the doors to a new world, like it's got introduced and you can't close that box anymore.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you
Pandora's box
better
is
jump on
open.
board. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah, for sure.
I can imagine that it's like changing, disrupting everything. It's got a very disruptive power, but it's yeah, you gotta use it. So what made you? Okay, let me think about the next question. Like, what did it mean to you to start using the power of AI or start using text generator, large language models, right? They call it.
Yeah,
And
LLMs. Yeah.
yeah, and what was next?
Well,
How
I
did you
have to.
use it?
Yeah, so I initially started off by breaking down the process of writing blogs and blog content. So I tried various different tools that there are on the market. Some of them feed into the API in the back of OpenAI, and they use an OpenAI API, and you kind of create your own prompting structure to be able to get outputs. Some of them have built like their own proprietary front end, like things like Jasper and all of these things that came out. I was testing
Yeah,
various tools and using a lot of those initially. And I guess I was pretty mind blown by the things that they could do. But there was still like there was still something missing there, right? Like these outputs would be pretty
mm,
good. You would say they were better than most brand new writers that had just started, but
yeah,
there was something missing in that process, and they required a hell of a lot of editing and changing like after the point. So you'd
yeah,
end up getting this really good article. Yes, it saved you a lot of time, but as anyone that's in the content writing or copywriting world will tell you, it often takes longer to edit something that's terrible than it does to just write it from scratch. And I think a lot of people have kind of fallen into this trap. So I think the first few months of me using it, it was very much like, this is good, but is it really saving us as much time as it could be? And I
yeah,
guess on the other side, it kind of it's a weird thing where you become quite. I think as humans now, we like everything quickly. We want everything to be instant. We want everything to be right straight away, and we don't want to have to wait around too long. And I think AI has kind of supercharged this thought process in people's minds. So
yeah,
now you're getting 1,000 word article in like 15, 20 minutes, but you're still not satisfied. You still feel like it's not quick enough. And like with image generation, it's the same. I've used Midjourney a lot, and I remember thinking, this just takes too long. Thinking of the
yeah,
prompt, putting it into Midjourney, waiting for it to generate, going and copying which one I liked, which is crazy because, as you know, in the world that you're working in, like getting bespoke images and graphic design images, I mean, not photography, used to
yeah,
take forever and cost a hell of a lot of money. And now you're doing it
yeah.
for cents, but even at 5 minutes, you're still frustrated. It almost increases the frustration level at waiting to get that output, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like it's so much faster than before. But still, if you look at the opportunity, like if it's able to generate like an image in maybe 10 seconds or 15 seconds, then like why does it take you sometimes, like I'm not having a lot of experience with Midjourney, but I have a lot of experience with ChatGPT now, using it for half a year. Like, why does
Yeah.
it take like give faulty outcomes? And I think often it takes like you have to go through the thought process, like what is missing, what, and that thought process is important to structure, because the better you structure that thought process and apply information upfront, the better the outcome, of course. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
about more getting the more getting the recipe right, and then the
Yeah.
cooking will be done in a few minutes,
Exactly,
right?
and it's kind of the point I was getting to there with when we first started with it. We were doing a hell of a lot of editing and a lot of changing at the
Yeah,
end, which is kind of counterintuitive, well, counterproductive,
yeah,
really. And now I think that process of looking at it and saying this isn't right, there's something wrong here, is what led me to start digging into how to input properly and how to prompt properly, and then you get an output that's 90% of the way there, right?
okay,
Instead of being 60% of the way there. And I think that was the real game changer for me with AI, when I realized that if you use your intelligence, knowledge, experience on the input, you're very, very clear with what you want ChatGPT to do, or Claude, what role you want it to take, what
yeah,
output you expect, and then even better, giving it an example output of what you're expecting it to produce, then
okay, yeah,
you can't really go wrong. And that's when I realized that most people were chasing the wrong thing. Everyone was always looking for the perfect prompt,
yeah.
but it's not about the perfect prompt, it's about the perfect example. And by example, I mean data. And that's the real power of ChatGPT and Claude.
Okay,
The
so
quality of the data.
so that's an interesting thing you say, because like yeah, I know from experience you're trying to get the perfect prompt and you're giving a lot of information up front, but you are actually reversing also the process a bit. You're giving it an example of the required outcome. So, and
Yeah.
by giving an example, it is able to work backwards and really knows what you want
Exactly.
as
Yeah.
well.
So by asking it to analyze some data, whether that be like, so businesses that have been around for a while have all this data, right? They know which
Yeah,
social media posts they've produced that got the most likes and comments. They
yeah,
know which email sequences they created that got the most engagement from their customers. They know which kind of landing pages work, right? Whether they use the brand story method, whatever else. They know what stories have resonated with their customers,
yeah,
right? But the problem with that is when you take that data and try and do it again with people, there's always going to be a variance. There's always going to be a difference. Like you're not necessarily going to get the exact thing out the other end.
yeah,
Whereas with AI, if you feed it your very best examples of things, it will be able to recreate those, and not even just recreate them for your exact business case. If then you open another business that's a totally different case, if you give it
yeah,
the example, but then feed it all of your new business information, which is the prompt, right?
yeah, yeah,
Then you will end up repeating that process over and over again. And I know from some of I have quite a strong like group of mentors and people that are really like deep into the world of AI, and I
yeah,
know they are now working with some of the biggest like companies on the planet, teaching AI with their data on how to
yeah,
produce the best email chains, how to produce the best copy, how to resonate on every different platform. Because that's the real challenge now, right? There must be 20 social platforms, right? And I know we know six or
yeah,
seven that are really well used, but all of them, as you know, as a content creator, they have different ways of attracting the audience. There's a different method of being able to get people to engage with your content. And
yeah,
trying to manage all of that is a nightmare, right? But
yeah.
trying to manage that with AI based on the history of what you've already created is easy,
All right.
relatively so. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I've jumped into a few areas there, but I think it's all useful stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's super interesting. So, how does AI Informer help businesses, and what do you offer for businesses, helping them achieve achieve their goals? Like, it's so much AI can cover, You obviously dove into AI, so there's like 1,000 different use cases on how you can use AI. Like, where does AI Informer fit in, or where do you even start?
For sure. Yeah. And this is the question that me and my business partner had when we first started off, is like, there is so many things we could go at here. Where
Yeah.
do we start? Right? Because you can do all sorts.
Yeah,
And we,
if you look at email marketing, for instance, email marketing, social media marketing, you've got copywriting, you've got promotions you can run, you've got your marketing in general, like there's an outreach, there's onboarding, like yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
it's
So
so much.
there is, and you can, and we do know how to do things like related to HR and related to process development. Like I have custom GPTs that can do SOP writing. I've got an ability of using ChatGPT to rewrite courses and make courses more clear and more impactful, because people have a lot of
Yeah,
course materials and stuff. But that isn't, we can do that stuff, but that isn't the main focus of AI Informer. So when we looked at what was going to add the most value to people, it was all around the lead generation and the marketing. And the idea of that was that we could help mostly with the
okay,
copywriting and the content writing,
okay,
because that's the thing that costs a hell of a lot of money. It's the thing that takes a lot of time. And it's kind of the easiest thing to kind of give to someone and see them get the benefits from it, like pretty much straight away. So we coach businesses and consult with businesses and business owners on how to leverage AI to its full potential.
Informer's got, if you were looking at AI in general, it's got so much to focus on. Like, where does AI Informer fit in, and like, what is AI Informer focusing on?
Yeah, for sure. And for us, it's really about the marketing side of things when it comes to
Yeah,
copywriting. Like, there are a million areas you can use AI for. In fact, when I built AI Informer, everything we did was AI. Like my
yeah,
branding, my brand values, like my messaging, the words we used, our tagline, like the whole of all of it, the offers, everything, you name it. The whole business from start to finish was created by AI. So all of
yeah,
these things are possible, but of course, me and my business partner were discussing it, and it's like, where are we going to start to not just like blow people's minds with too much information, right? Because the danger
yeah,
in all business is if you try and service all the things to all the people, you end up servicing nobody very well.
yeah,
So we're focused on working with coaches, consultants, digital marketing agencies, e-commerce businesses, and the like. And our main focus is helping them with their copywriting, whether that be emails, websites, social media posting, um, or otherwise. It's kind of all the short form copy that can be done with AI to help
yeah,
them build their audiences and bring in more leads and convert more customers, basically. So we're all about helping people build their profile. I think that AI will be the beginning of us seeing more micro influencers everywhere, like people that are able to now tell their stories without having a team of 10 people supporting them in the background. And I think our
yeah.
position is to bridge that gap for businesses and make sure that they can use AI for those things.
Awesome. There's a lot to cover still. Like, that's a
It is.
very long, that's a lot to cover. But I,
Yeah.
I think it's true. Like the danger with AI is like that once you start generating, it goes so easily that you're like, you're generating without a purpose, and you're blindly sending like a lot of information into the void, the internet, and you're pushing a lot of information. But the reality is that people are lazy. They don't want to read a lot. They want to preserve their time. They already get a lot of distractions and they need to focus their attention anyway. So yeah, that's really interesting that you say like, okay, we're focusing on copywriting, short form content. Can you tell me about a little bit about your thought process about the micro influencing? It's something I hear you say a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So obviously we've come from a world where I think the last 2 or 3 years, social media has become the marketing powerhouse of the world. I mean, in the past, and I think still with quite big companies still think in the same way. They think that like your TV advertisement, your advertisement in traditional methods is the most important way, and they spend a hell of a lot of money on those things. But
Yeah,
actually, social media has taken over that fold. I think it's probably been 4 years, but people are only really starting to kind of understand the power of doing social media well now. And that kind of created what we know as our influencers, right? So in every niche, whether it be fitness, whether it be lifestyle, whether it be, we live in Vietnam, right? You see people that travel a lot,
Yeah.
and they're kind of the influencers in those niches, and people follow them, and they make all their sales, and they kind of promote businesses that way. And I think that takes a hell of a lot of time, focus, money, teams. Like, these guys are not editing their own videos. These guys are not producing their own content. They're hiring teams of like 10 experts to be able to kind of keep that presence going. And therefore, they need hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers to make it worthwhile, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, you can't do it with like 10,000 followers, because you just wouldn't have the income to be able to do it for the amount of time that it would take, right?
Yeah, like if you're looking at the game of photography and videography and content creation in general, then like it's not that easy as people think. Like, you often need to edit your photos, or if you're talking video, you need to come up with a plan about what you're going to produce. If you that's is when you've chosen your niche, and like it takes a lot of time, and you can't do it all alone.
Yeah. Yeah, you need a team.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
let's remember that point, because I can
you,
definitely help you with that later. But in terms of what AI can do to help you with that planning, but
yeah,
so that's kind of the traditional influencer. Now, the micro influencer I see as somebody like, everybody in the world has their story, their passions, the areas in their life that they love. Whether they have a 9 to 5 job and most of their week is spent doing that, they'll still have a hobby or an interest or something that they're a master at, right? That they're really, really
yeah,
good at. But in the past, they would have been totally unable to tell that story well. They might have like a YouTube channel with very poor quality, like, videos they've just produced themselves in their time. And then the rest of the time they've got, work, kids, shopping, but all these other things to do, right?
yeah.
And therefore those people have no opportunity to produce content. AI will allow those people to produce content, and high quality content. And that's what I'm
Okay.
saying about the rise of the micro influencer, is these people will suddenly be able to have a 9 to 5 job, but still have a really, really niche group that they produce good storytelling content, produce good videos for, all of which powered by AI.
Okay. Yeah, that's super interesting. So let's take like a random photographer as an example. A photographer that really loves to do food photography, for example. Like how would how would you say AI can help such a photographer setting up his online presence, or help him get his message out?
For sure. Yeah. So initially, it would be using AI to come up with a strategy for 4 or 5 different platforms, right?
Yeah.
So AI is already well versed in a lot of these things. Like, people think they have to give it all the information, but AI already knows about like what are the best standards for posting on YouTube. Like, what are the
Yeah.
times of day you should post on Facebook, and how frequent should it be? What's the tone? What's the style? Should it be casual? Should it be formal? Whatever. It already knows all of these things. So stage one would be to get like a one-page plan for all 5 of the platforms that they want to attack initially, right? And
Yeah.
that's just how often we're going to post, what types of content we're going to post, and AI can give us all of that. So we go in and say, this is the type of photographer I am. It's food. These are the exact food areas that I'm interested in. These are the kind of assets I have access to. Based on this, let's make a plan. All right.
Yeah.
And then once we've got that one-page plan, it's then very easy to say, okay, I want to create the first 4 weeks of my content, and I want every week to have a theme. And remember that I'm brand new to getting my message out of there. So let's theme
Yeah.
it around that. And then AI will start to produce a very well structured plan of, okay, on Monday, do this kind of post. On Tuesday, do maybe a quiz or a poll, or whatever works for that particular niche in food photography.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you've got, week 1 is introducing me to my network, and these are the 5 pieces of content I'll post. Week 2 dives a bit deeper into one of the areas that I want to talk about in food photography. So here it is. Week 3, week 4, and so on. And then you can, from that, you then kind of, it's like a fractal. It's almost like the way the universe works, right? If you zoom out in the universe, it keeps going forever.
Yeah.
And if you zoom in, it keeps going forever. And I think that's the real power of AI. So then once you've got this one-page plan that's created your 4-week plan, you can
Yeah.
then dig down into each one of those posts and say, okay, now give me the guideline, the structure for this particular post type. Okay,
Yeah.
now tell me how I get all of the assets I'm going to need to do this post. Now tell me the steps I need to follow and the process to be able to do that. Now tell
Yeah.
me which bits need my expertise, which are this, and which can be given to a VA or done in another way. And you can keep going down more granular, more granular, more granular until like you've got, you know, the whole beast of the step-by-step plan. And then it's really just social media by numbers.
All right. All right. How do you implement like maybe it's not the right like how do you implement a feedback loop in the in your process? The way that you can tell ChatGPT or an OpenAI system that what works and what doesn't work. I have the feeling from now on that that is still missing, that it can't track like real life data. Or what would your recommendations be to for kind of info you feed ChatGPT?
So you can. So in terms of data and reporting, ChatGPT can look at graphs, data, spreadsheets, and find insights from it. So if you're tracking your posts, so you mean in terms of like if you're posting and you want to see what types of posts are working and what types of posts aren't working, so you
Yeah,
track like your comments, your likes, and all of these kind of things. Is that
yeah,
what you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
How do you create content that resonates and that really, yeah, that resonates on a human level?
Yeah, so we do some automation stuff. So we do some like no code automation solutions that will look at like when you make a post and it will collect your number of likes, number of comments, number of shares, whatever, and we'll put those into a spreadsheet. And then you can
Okay.
take that spreadsheet and you can feed the screenshot of it to OpenAI, to
Yeah.
ChatGPT, and then you can use another prompt to say, "Hey, this is the information. This is what each piece of data means. These are the insights I'm trying to pull out."
Yeah.
And it will give you those insights. Like, so as you said earlier, I come from an SEO background, and most of an SEO audit is looking at graphs and data and deciding, you know, is the traffic going up? Why is it going up?
Yeah.
What are these factors? I've built a custom GPT that you can just feed screenshots to it, and
Yeah.
from those screenshots, it will come up with a like a 10-page high level SEO plan.
That's
Um,
amazing. Yeah.
without you even doing any of it, right? Like, and a lot of it it's just it's that reporting side of things that takes so much time, but is repeatable. So I think sometimes people overcomplicate the way these things work, right? And actually, if you're very clear with what you want and you provide it with the right information, it will give you a good answer. And if it gets it wrong, you just ask it to change that answer based on your feedback. It's like treat it like you would an assistant or an intern, I guess, is
Okay. Okay.
the overall
So,
method.
so a lot of people don't know how to approach ChatGPT and how to prompt effectively. You mentioned like some striking things. Feed it with an example, feed it with screenshots and usable data. Tell him what your goal is, like
Yeah.
make the goal touchable, concrete, turn it into numbers. And do you have anything to add? What a great start would be?
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
the other thing is just to try things and test stuff out, right? Like the
Yeah.
thing with AI is it's hallucinating based on like, well, hallucinating is kind of a term people use when it gets something wrong. But
Yeah.
artificial intelligence isn't really artificial intelligence. It's kind of making the best guess based on like all the information it's got and the factors that you give it. So
Yeah.
it will never exactly repeat itself every single time. So some of it
Yeah.
is
That's true.
experimentation and then trying to get to a point which is where I guess what I teach and what our prompts do can make it so it pretty much repeats the same action and output every time. So I think that this is also new, that like being like going into it with an inquisitive sort of mind and playing with it is also like a top tip that I would give everyone is play around with it, see what happens, see what you get out,
Yeah.
you know, but always going with a purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. True. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
gonna know what you want and able to get like a certain outcome, right? You gotta feed it data, and that's maybe a good tip. Like if AI doesn't just do the simple tasks, you can ask it to generate like a whole business plan for you, basically, like a whole brand identity document. That's how I used to leverage it
Yeah.
for clients in the Netherlands. And then based on that brand identity, brand template, you feed it information from the website, and you ask it questions like, what
Yeah,
would
and
you do? Right?
yeah, and never make the
Um,
mistake of trying to ask it to do too much in one go. It's always good to
yeah,
do like a little section and then feed back on that section, and then do the next bit and the next bit, and kind of bring it to a good outcome that way, right? So, like a blog, for example, if you go, I want you to write a whole blog, it's going to be rubbish. If you go, write the first two sentences, write the next two sentences, start the next section. And the same with a business plan. Create the top level. Okay, I like that. I don't like that. Okay, create this next section, this next section. Then you
yeah.
will end up with something that's much better.
So what I personally did for blog posts is like you always ask it to first write the outlines of an article, right? And you ask it if it probably will ask you if it can, if you want to adjust the outlines or want to implement some adding changes or you want to change it, implement an FAQ, for example, or and then ask it to write out like the first part of the outline and then go on from there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
also doesn't use the max amount of tokens. You spread the amount of tokens it generates every time, so you get a better outcome.
totally.
That
Because it
was
does try and, yeah, it will try and be
right.
lazy. It's not because
Yeah,
it's trying to be lazy. It's because it's processing power, right? And all of that
yeah,
costs money to OpenAI. It's the same with
yeah,
every SaaS that's ever been invented. They will have power users that cost them money, but they
yeah,
guarantee that that most people won't use it at all. And I think everyone knows they've got SaaS, maybe stuff they bought on lifetime deals or whatever. They think, oh, that'll be really, really good. I'm going to buy that on a lifetime deal. And then it just
yeah,
sits there and they never use it, right?
yeah.
And these SaaS
So
companies rely on that fact. And I think you see that in OpenAI when you're using ChatGPT. If you're not very clear and you don't break it down, it will just give you the easiest rubbish answer, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
it
true.
wants to process less. It makes sense that it's built that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And, one really interesting fact about or thing about AI Informer I found is that you are focusing so much on storytelling. You are doing some experimenting with storytelling on your own personal Facebook.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, hey, like content creators, like there's a big turnaround. Most photographers start photography and they really focus in on the photos and the quality of the photos they're making. That's like a trend I see, and I'm guilty of that myself as well in the past. You go in and zoom in and pixel peep, and you want to have the newest equipment, but there's so much power in storytelling, where the quality actually doesn't matter too much anymore, as that you have to tell a compelling story.
Yeah.
How like how does AI Informer dive into that dives or into that trend, and how do you leverage storytelling? Can you share a
Yeah.
bit about that?
I can, yeah, totally. And I think it's absolutely key. And I think the difference between poor quality AI content and good quality AI content is the storytelling aspect of it. I mean, you
Yeah,
see a lot of stuff out there where it's AI. You can see straight away it's AI. It's packed full of
yeah,
like emojis, rubbish, and it's very
yeah,
cookie cutter, high level crap. And occasionally I
yeah,
use that as a marketing tactic. I message these people and say, hey, if I'm not being out of order here, can I tell you why I know your content's AI? And do you
yeah.
want me to help you not sound like that? And some people will still say, no, I didn't use AI. No, I didn't.
Then
And
they
I'm
do
like,
the
well,
poker face and they just
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I was like, well, 40% of your posts start with elevate. So I'm pretty sure you do, but never mind. If you don't want to admit it, that's fine. But no,
Yeah,
back to like storytelling. There's frameworks that you should follow with storytelling, right? Like the way
yeah,
that you build curiosity. Like you will see whenever I do a social media post, I'm doing something that gets curiosity. Like I've got one on my wall that's a story of my origin that said I got arrested, for example, right?
yeah,
Or like I failed, or I sold it all, or it was my last hope, right? You
yeah.
write things like this in the first
you
sentence, and people are like, "What?"
Yeah, you start with a powerful hook. Like that's always the framework you work with, a powerful hook that captures someone's attention.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah. But the beauty of AI is you can give it a number of examples of that, or you can use one of the
yeah,
custom GPTs that I build, and it will then do that for you every time, right? And then you kind of lead people in. You then tell them what you saw about the story, because people want to see that you're a human, and they want to see that you go through the same processes that they go through. Like you analyze the situation, you think about how that affects you, you react to it, and all of this is kind of what makes people see that you're human, really.
Yeah.
And it also inspires them to want to follow your journey, right? Like talking about your exact technical, this, that, and the next might turn on some people, but
Yeah.
as photographers, you don't just want photographers to look at your content. You want people to look at your content, right? And
That's
then if you,
that's so that's so key. That's so key because as a photographer, you probably get all hyped up by the quality of the camera you're using, the lenses, like and the lens choice you're making, what kind of frame rate you're shooting. Well, none of that is interesting for the people that watch your stories because they don't know what you're talking about.
right,
And
right.
and like there's only a small select group, so it's so much more powerful to take other people in general on your journey and show them what you're visiting, what kind of adventures you're on.
Yeah, like if you
So
take
like
you for an example, like you've got, the fact that you're a photographer, and you've got all of this stuff that you do is awesome. But then you've also got that you do podcasts, that you're in other types of business, that you live in
yeah,
a country that's like 7,000 miles from where you're from, right? And how did you end
yeah,
up living in that country that's 7,000 miles from where you're from? Like what does it take to go and live somewhere else like that? Like, in fact, what's the culture like where you live? Like, what are the roads like? What's the day-to-day living like? How do you rent an apartment? Like, all of these things that people are wondering, like, what they are,
yeah,
how that is. What's it like traveling around on a motorbike everywhere with people that have got like half a house on the back? And this is
yeah,
the stuff that's really interesting. And I think that the difference is, in the past, sitting down and writing these stories yourself takes a long time,
yeah,
right? It's really difficult to write things that are engaging over and over again, that are stories about your life. And you kind of have all different stories, I guess, from a business perspective. Depending on where your customer is in the funnel, there's a different kind of story that you want to tell them, right?
yeah,
And the best businesses, they'll have a story. Let's take my business as an example. I have a Facebook group, right, as you mentioned earlier. So I should have stories that are directed to push people to join my Facebook group,
yeah.
and I should have
Definitely, you want to
stories.
grow your audience. So like, yeah,
And every angle, whether I want them to sign up for something on the website, whether I want them to book a call with me, whether I want them to test one of my lead magnets. Like, you could name like 50 things in my business that need a story that
yeah,
kind of pushes the person to take that action. Now, for one person like you or I to sit and think of 50 stories, or 50 variations of a story, to then be able to kind of write enough to fill that funnel with all of these different story types, you're talking like days and days and weeks of work to do that.
yeah,
You have to start off writing your core pillars. So, like, what are my core pillars for content? Some's going to be family, some might be photography, some might be, for me, marketing, some might be habits, right? And the way I operate. Some might be behind the scenes, like how
yeah,
my office is set up and how I live. So once you've got that, then you start going, okay, now what stories do I have that fit into that? And then you, like, all of this process is it's an insane amount of work. And for most
yeah,
people, like, that just puts them off. So what they
yeah,
do is they just carry on um, doing the focus on the area that they really know really well, and they don't bother telling the stories. And I find that most people now that I talk to before they work with us,
yeah,
all of their business is either word of mouth or people that they knew from their old job. So they were in a
yeah,
corporate job or something, they left, they started their own business, and then they kind of took people from there that maybe need a photographer or need this support, and then they told someone else they know that they need a photographer, and they kind of live in this sphere of like people they know. And I think that means you don't really have a business, right? Because you
yeah,
don't generate your own leads, you don't bring your own leads into your business, you kind of rely on word of mouth only. and
yeah.
i, and
But
I think, sorry, go
yeah,
on.
no, no, no. Like it's so interesting that you mentioned that. I'm going through the book, the E Myth Revised, for example, and that is telling a story about Sarah that's really good at baking pies. But the moment she starts a business, she's just good at baking pies, and she's not capable of running a business. So that makes you, yeah, somewhat handicapped of running a business. And it's the same with storytelling in general for photographers and content creators. I think they're really good at creating content, videos, and photos. But like to be able to win, you've got to win the game. You've got to build an audience. and go on brand collaborations and offer services to a broader audience than just the people that you know. You got to play the numbers.
Yeah, and
So that's
I think it's always
right.
good.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the game you got to play as a content creator or a business in general. Just try hit the numbers.
I agree. Yeah,
Off.
I think it used to be a nice to have. Like I think a year ago, maybe it was nice to be a public personality and people know who you are, and
Yeah.
you kind of get business that way. I don't think it was essential. You could still do all the other things and still make money. There was a lot of skills that AI couldn't do, for example,
Yeah.
and I think there still is. But in the next year to 2 years, that's not going to be the case. Like AI is going to get better and better. It's going to take over more mid-level roles than ever before, and then the people that will survive are the people that have a personal brand, because people will buy from you whether or not things are produced by AI or not, on the
Yeah.
basis that you have a personal brand and they trust your face. And whether or not it's your AI face when they get better, because you've seen
Yeah.
my world and the occasional AI face that I do, is another question.
Yeah.
But
Fair enough. Yeah. So if I pull this question, like for the food photographer, for instance, like what advice would you have them on using AI? How can they leverage like storytelling AI in their work? You already gave like a framework, set up your content pillars, for
that's where I
example.
would start.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly where I
Yeah.
would start. I would sit with AI, whether it be Claude or ChatGPT. ChatGPT is better for this.
Yeah.
Claude is a better copywriter.
Yeah.
ChatGPT is better for ideas. And I would sit and say, okay, I want to create my core pillars for content, right? I want 5 of them.
Yeah.
Here's some information about me. And that information you give them would be not just the fact that you take this kind of food picture. It would be like, what's your family like? What are your interests? What kind of things do you do outside of work? What does
Yeah.
your work look like? Where's your like passions in terms of your habits? Like, how did you get into what you're doing today? And then
Mm.
use AI to craft a really solid set of high level core pillars for what you're about and who you are, right? I
Yeah.
also think it's really important to have your origin story. Like, what led you to where you are today? Like, maybe you had, for example, mine, I worked in like a 9 to 5 job for a big corporation, and I'd worked there for many years. I started off, I didn't finish university. I decided to leave because I was a DJ and I like partying. So I
Yeah.
left. I worked in a call center. Then I worked my way through the ranks, and I got a really good job as a project manager in one of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world. And then one
Yeah.
day I was like, I'm sick of this. I'm not really enjoying it. And then I got into some trouble. And then that led me to leaving and coming to Asia. And then when I got to Asia, I met my wife and became a teacher. Long story short. And then
Yeah.
that's where I ended up
Thanks for
in
sharing,
business.
though. Respected. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, knowing everybody has an origin story, right? They have a reason of why they ended up where they are today. And I think
Yeah.
sitting and working that out alongside your core pillars for future content is a really, really important thing. Um, and being willing
Okay.
to share that.
Sorry to interrupt you. For
No, go for it.
content pillars, you mean like some subjects that you want to write your stories around, right? So
Yeah,
whatever is important. If you're a food photographer, like obviously your camera and photography is important. The food, but also some things about your background. And like if you've got those content pillars formulated, then you always got like a base on what your stories will resolve around
correct.
and touch.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And then secondary to that, then you want to start thinking about your core story, like the stories that made you who you are, and your journey, and how you became the person you are. And I think being willing to share things that make you vulnerable is
Hmm.
also a key. It's like one of the things when I talked to my mum about saying, I'm going to do this post about when I got arrested because I was in a bar fight in the UK,
Yeah.
like when I was like 28, right?
That was a very vulnerable thing to share. Like you share, like, yeah, about a very dark period in your life. You're not
Mhm.
proud of it, but it's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
And everybody has these stories, right? But they're kind of like,
Yeah.
they're scared of sharing them because they think maybe people will think badly of them, or maybe it will put off clients, or whatever. And they kind of hold these really dear stories that are part of the foundation of who they are in. But I believe that everybody has a story like that, right? Everybody
Yeah.
has a moment they're maybe not proud of, or something that kind of made them change their opinion or the way that they do things. And sharing those allows you to connect to more people. And let's face it, if it does put some people off, I don't know, I'm not going to swear, but forget those people, right? Like you don't want to work with them anyway. You don't want to attract them. That they're not going to be part of your network anyway. If they're going to judge you for something like that, who cares, right?
I can understand though, like it's a switch. Like there's a lot of people who don't want to show too much on the internet. They're scared how their data is being used. That's a big question mark with AI as well. They don't want to open up to the world and show their vulnerability because you never know who's watching. So you're actually talking of using it as a strength.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. And I think if you're going to be somebody who's in the digital sphere, in the digital space, it's essential. I think otherwise, maybe it's not quite the right thing for you. I think you have to accept that now. That will be the difference between people that can make money and can thrive online and people that don't. I think as AI comes in and does more and more of the other stuff, that personality of you being the person that you are is what will make you attractive to customers, clients, followings, all of these kind of things. I think attention will increasingly become the currency of the world. Crypto will be there, but attention will be, a close second.
That's true. Yeah, I also think so. Yeah. All right. So like we've talked about, like, okay, you've got your core pillars, your content pillars, you have got your frameworks on how you write your story and do your copywriting. You're growing your audience. How does AI or AI Informer, what kind of services does AI Informer offer to generate leads and convert leads?
Yeah, so
like we obviously talked about lead generators. The free seminar you gave in the past, that was very informative.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge part of like what's to come because I still think there is a place for creating lead generators like your PDF guides and your checklists and stuff. And like one of our initial service is called our accelerator package. And in our accelerator package, we help people create like an AI assistant that's specific to their business and will help them complete a marketing task, whether that be social media plans and posts for Facebook, or whether that be social media and plans for LinkedIn, or whether that be email sequences for LinkedIn, for example. So we do like a 1 hour session and then some follow-up and give people guidance and some other things so that they can be able to kind of implement AI in their business straight away. But the thing we've just recently started doing as well, which I'm really excited about, is teaching people how to create their own sort of AI mini bot that generates leads for their business, and AI mini bot being a custom GPT. Now, the beauty of these things is you can get them to do one of the tasks that your customers are struggling with, right? And like the best lead magnets solve a small problem but create a bigger one. So like one example in my business is we have a lead magnet that will create like an email sequence for people, right? And when people get this lead magnet, they can type straight in, I want an email sequence about this, and it will produce that for them. But it will be in a style that is the one that I've programmed. It might not necessarily be in their exact style. It will be based on the prompts and the examples I've given it. Now, a lot of people want it to be in their style. So we now have a program where we teach people how to make them for themselves. And then as people use your lead magnet, they're getting an offer every time they go in, right? And you can change the offer. So like one of ours is like, hey, if you contact us now, you get a 20% discount on this offer. Now let me help you solve your problem. And then at the end, it's like, thank you. I hope we solved your problem. Let us know if we did or not. And if we didn't, we want to hear that feedback. And by the way, don't forget, we've got this offer at the moment. Right. Another really good example, we had a client who does like interview preparation for people and helps people negotiate their offers. And like when people offer them a job, they negotiate like a better deal, basically. And she's really, really good at what she does. And what we did is we created a custom GPT that optimizes or creates a LinkedIn about section for you. So you get the custom GPT, it advertises their services, it then asks you a few questions, and it creates something that by the end you can just copy and paste onto your LinkedIn about page. And it's like better than better than 90% of people's that are on there at the moment, right?
Yeah.
So again,
Oh,
you've
so
solved
that's
the
so
problem.
super interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're solving a problem. You're using, like, I think the future of AI is also that you're not going to market for Google anymore. You're not going to Google for normal people, but you're going to Google for AI, so that AI picks you up and you're going to create something with AI that,
yeah, I think so. I think
yeah,
websites will change where they're more like databases in the future, because AI won't need all these images and extra stuff to understand. It'll want the information really kind of what's the word, like it really digestible for machines. But I think search engines in the way we know them are dead. Like, I don't remember the last time I didn't use ChatGPT to solve like a search engine problem. Like, I was setting up
yeah,
all like HubSpot and MailChimp and automations and stuff. And instead of searching Google and going to 20 different web pages and reading a whole
you,
massive thing, like,
yeah,
I'm using ChatGPT for that. Okay, how do I do this? And it knows.
yeah.
Like, it figures it out. So I don't need to go to Google.
You're not looking at Google anymore. You're just asking, like, is my device compatible? Like, can you scrape the internet for me? And
Yeah,
it does a pretty good job with references 90% of the time. Yeah.
this is
So,
it.
like,
Yeah,
why bother Google anymore?
exactly.
Yeah.
And if you use Bard, well, now Gemini, you'll see that it
Yeah.
gives you links and stuff in there. But anyway, I'm sort of jumping away from the question. So yeah, the
Yeah.
services we provide are that. Is like, how to create these really unique lead generation robots for your business that you can share with your clients, and then you can either use them in ChatGPT, or you can create a kind of a front end skin so that it's on your website, and people just
Yeah.
go to your website and use this robot tool in the way they want to use it, really.
Yeah.
So
Do,
that's the other thing.
does AI Informer, yeah, you mentioned some custom GPTs AI Informer is offering. Like, what kind of custom GPTs would be super helpful for businesses in general, but also content creators?
Yeah, so we
Are
have go on, sorry, Jim.
Yeah, no, you go on.
Take the
Yeah, I
floor.
didn't want to
Yeah,
interrupt you.
so we've got a pack that will manage all of your social media, and then kind of nurturing the leads that you get through that social media through custom GPTs. So it's a five pack of like mini robots. One is a storytelling post generator. So you give it a
Yeah,
few sentences of your idea and it will generate you a post. One of them creates your full social media plan
yeah.
based on a few questions. Another one
That's
will,
possible with AI. You feed it some information and some questions, like, and it will write out a whole social media plan for you.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
After
yeah,
this conversation, like, I'm planning to put this podcast into a blog post. We will link the custom GPTs if that's okay with you.
yeah. So this is like a pack. It's like a management pack that we do. It's 5 custom GPTs and it's $99. So that's our
Yeah.
pack for that, and it
Okay.
will do
Okay.
everything.
Okay.
It will also do a lead magnet outline, a 5 email sequence, nurture emails to like nurture the leads you get, and it will
Yeah.
also do talking head video scripts as well. So viral talking
Yeah.
head video scripts. So you get the whole package end to end, and it's $99 to manage your whole social media lifetime.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. I remember you also mentioned you had like a viral video script creator. Is it
That's
also
right.
included into the pack?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's in the package too.
Okay.
Yeah. So you get all 5 of those things. So from inbound email to lead magnet generation, which you can share in your group, social media posts, social media planning, and viral videos, all in one package for $99, which is just crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. We'll put that in the blog post as well. Yeah. So yeah, I think we covered like a lot. We've got tips on what is ChatGPT, what is OpenAI, how you can leverage it as a content creator as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, yeah, I think the most important part is, like, yeah, and we've covered that already, how you build your audience with a plan, how you
Yeah,
convert.
yeah. How you dig
Like,
into the depth of keep drilling down through the levels of the thing you need in ChatGPT,
yeah,
I think is really, really important. And yeah, like lastly, just making sure you ask it questions too, right? Have you got enough information? Is a
yeah,
golden prompt. It's so simple.
yeah,
Most people won't want to tell you that because it is so simple. You get these prompt packs of like, here's 500 prompts, which is just to me crazy. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot. So yeah, I think just we're right at the beginning of it now, and being in it now is gonna give you that edge, because so many people are struggling to adopt it, and a lot more people are kind of resistant to adopting it as well.
Yeah. If you never use ChatGPT, like what would your advice be? Like I would figure like you would just start with the free options, which are Bard and Gemini, but they are the same, or ChatGPT 3.5. They're free to use. They're not as smart, but they're free to use at least. What
They're good
would be
enough.
like a yeah, what would be like a great tip to start
Well, the
just
best tip I could
using?
give you would be to come to my website and sign up for our free bootcamp, because our free bootcamp
Yeah.
will tell you the basics of doing these things. So, as part of that bootcamp, you will learn how to write these basic social media posts, how to do the social media planning, how to start doing lead magnet generation, and all of these things. So, I think get the free tools, start playing with them, take advantage of as much free education as possible, and then when you're
Yeah.
ready and you want to do something that's bespoke for your business, that is really special and stands out from everyone else, then get in contact with someone like us, or similar, to get
Yeah.
that expert knowledge on what to do.
Okay. Yeah, great stuff, Jack. Okay, and that will be interesting for content creators as well. I can imagine, like, if you never worked with AI, you're missing the boat. Um, you gotta implement AI and use it as your personal assistant. It will take off so much work off. When are you having that free bootcamp for
So
the
they can,
listeners?
yeah, they will be able to go to our website from next week, from Monday. So by the time this goes live, I guess it will probably be available.
All
And they
right.
just sign up through the introductory video, and then they will receive the emails with all of the all of the lessons for the initial bootcamp. So
All right. That's great.
I'll make
Jack,
sure
do
you've
you have
got the
any?
link. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and we'll put it on the blog, but the blog post as well, because I'm really happy with this interview.
awesome.
Do you have any additional tips for content creators or businesses that are starting with AI? I think we covered a lot, but still, yeah, give it a
Yeah,
shot.
yeah. I mean, I think the other piece of value that I'm giving, and again, this is really important. You should try and provide value to the people that are following you. Right? A lot
Yeah,
of people worry that they're sharing too many secrets or too many tips and all of those things, but that really is never the case, right? Because
yeah,
nobody's looking at it in the same depth that you're looking at. So the other thing I would suggest is that if people want to join the community that I've got, it's like a free community on Facebook that we're building up. I will be sharing tips and information and knowledge and stuff there, and our obviously webinars that we do will be free in there. I'm going to commit to doing at least one every 2 weeks for the first 6 months of this year. They will get much more knowledge and information there, but I'm probably not going to give anything else
yeah.
today, because I am one of these people that can talk a lot, and there'll be a danger of it being like lost in me saying so many other things that people are like, I don't know where to start. So I think I'm going to leave it
Yeah.
there, Jim. But yeah, no, I
Okay.
appreciate you having me on,
Okay.
and I'll certainly come back on again in 6 months or whatever when things change, because I think
Yeah, we would
uh,
love to have you in the future as well. Like, and one of the things with AI is that you don't know where to start. Like, it's so broad, you can take on every subject and everywhere you can implement AI. So it's really easy to get lost, I find, in the
yeah,
subjects because like there's just so much to cover and so many things to do with AI. So, okay, so if
absolutely.
we would structure it, yeah, if people want to learn more about like AI Informer, they can join your Facebook group, which is super helpful, stacked with tips,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they can
Almost
follow
on a
my
daily basis.
pretty much, yeah, as well as like bits of memes and other things, just to keep it kind of
Yeah,
light in there. There's a lot of
yeah,
funny stuff going on in the AI world at the moment. You'll
true.
see kind of my general where I'm at and what I'm doing. You'll see on my personal Facebook page, and then the website itself has got kind of the details of our offers. And we've just finished a service guide, which is kind of a 16-page service guide of what we do, how we do it, how much everything costs, all of those kind of things,
Okay,
which was built with the help of AI, of course. So
of course. Okay, that's great. Okay, thank you so much, Jack, for being on the podcast. If
appreciate it.
people want to learn more, they go to the AI Informer Facebook group or your website. Can you quickly mention it, your website?
Yeah, sure. So our website is
Okay,
ai-informer.com.
okay, awesome. Okay, and they can reach out to you. It will all be in the blog post. Okay, thanks so much,
Awesome.
Jack. Thank you for making it till the end. If you listen to the end of this podcast, make sure to subscribe, of course, and subscribe to Jack's social media profiles as well. And I'll be happy to see you in the next one. Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
so much, Jack.
Cheers.
All right.
Thanks, Jim.
Cheers.
Bye.